All right, we are on. Welcome everybody to RightTool for QuickBooks Online version 1.024.1, which basically means the bi-monthly new features webinar update for August 14th, 2024. RightTool is a third-party app not associated with Intuit or QuickBooks, but RightTool loves QuickBooks, of course, and I think QuickBooks loves RightTool back. And the app is designed to work with QuickBooks Online with your Chromium-based browser, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Brave, Arc, whole bunch of other browsers that are based on the Chromium. Without a QBO subscription, RightTool wouldn't work. So let's get right started. About today's agenda, we're going to talk about RightTool really quick, how to learn more about RightTool, some QuickBooks Online updates that are relevant to RightTool users. We are going to talk about updates to our Pro backend website. We also made the slides available to you in the chat. So if you want to go look at the slides, all the links in the slides, I flooded the chat with the Google slides so you can't miss them. We're going to discuss, we'll do a quick review of the help and troubleshooting features. We have covered this before, but it's important to keep covering it because sometimes it's important to sort of revive your browser and revive your QBO and revive your RightTool when something is kind of stuck, not working. And then we're going to do a demo on about 5 or 6 new features, we added in the last 2 months since the last webinar update. And then at the end of the webinar, we're going to discuss some interesting plans we have for the future. They are just plans, but since this company and this tool is very much crowdsourced in terms of ideation, troubleshooting, our users are our biggest asset, and our users tell us all the time what they want, and we try to, as much as we can, placate and give them what we want. So we're also going to share with you some of the interesting plans we have for the future, and hopefully, we're thinking that those will come through. But again, they're just plans. They're just conceptually, they're just plans. Okay, let's go to the next slide here. Okay, so really quick, one of our slides contains the link to the last webinar that we did. It's the bi-monthly updates webinar that we did on version 23.1. All the webinars like this one that we're doing live now will be posted in our YouTube channel. And then we do mini videos of every single feature. They're usually 2 to 5 minutes. If Mark does them, they're 2 minutes long. If I do them, they're 10 minutes long. It's just kind of the way it works. So we post them in YouTube as well. So every single time that there is a new feature, it will be posted in YouTube. So the very first way, or the quickest way you can know and learn about RightTool is by subscribing to the RightTool channel, the YouTube channel. Now, the next bi-monthly webinar will be done live on October 16th, which will be live at Reframe in South Florida. Both Mark and I will be there together, and we'll do the webinar together. We won't be in different locations like we usually are. Now, we also have slides. In the slides, there's a slide with links to comprehensive webinars that go like maybe an hour to an hour and a half that go deep into RightTool. So good sort of one-on-one getting started type videos. Those are linked in the slides. And finally, extremely important that you join the Facebook group. We have 4,000 people active in the Facebook group talking about QuickBooks Online plus RightTool all day long. This thing in QuickBooks Online is broken. How would you fix it? People add comments to that. This thing in RightTool is broken. Can you fix it? We add comments to that. I wish this RightTool feature would do this. And we get feedback on that, and we jump on that right away. So it's the very best way to have a town hall to discuss all sorts of things. If you don't use Facebook, create Facebook just for this. You don't have to share pictures of your kids or whatever. Just go into Facebook. That this is the best platform that there is out there to create a group and a town hall to discuss it. Also, if you want to see us in person, Mark, myself, and or Patrick, so all 3 of us or one of us will be at the next 3 events. Reframe in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, October 16th to October 19th. We will email all of our pro users and do a dinner on October 16th. We already started emailing some people. Some people have already signed up to the physical in-person RightTool pro user meetup that we will have in the same hotel as the Reframe conference. We're also going to be at Intuit Connect in Las Vegas, October 28th and October 30th. We actually have a booth there. We actually are going to teach about RightTool in Las Vegas. So we're super excited about that. And we will also invite pro users to a dinner or some sort of like get together or meetup of sorts. So if you're a pro user, expect that email. If you're a pro user and you don't get that email within the next couple of weeks, let me know, and then I'll make sure to add you to the list. That we should have a list of all of our pro users. Or sometimes they go into junk or whatever. And then new conference, I got invited to talk in RightWorks Inspire in Sarasota, Florida. I will be there on December 3rd. The conference is December 2nd to the 4th. So if you want to come say hi and you happen to be going there, come say hi to me. I think that would be just me. All three of us should be in Las Vegas, and both Mark and I will be at Reframe. So there's 3 physical places that you can come say hi. We actually recently met with a bunch of RightTool pro users in Dallas, and we went to a baseball game. It was kind of fun. And we also met in Chicago, and we had a nice dinner in Chicago. That was fun as well. Okay, first major QuickBooks Online update. We want to take credit for this. Maybe we can't, maybe we can, who knows? But we would like to take credit for inspiring QuickBooks Online to make this major update to the QuickBooks Online navigation framework that we had in RightTool from the very beginning, which is the ability to bookmark any page. So for example, if you happen to be in the recurring transactions page, or just think of being in any page in particular. Let me refresh my screen. I'm going to stop sharing. Reshare again one more time. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So can you confirm that you can see my screen, Mark?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Okay. But QuickBooks Online, is it down? Let me check. Okay. Obviously, I do have internet because I'm on the live webinar, but my QuickBooks Online might be down. Is it possible that my QuickBooks Online is down? Let me clear my cache really quick, see if that does anything.
You want me to show it?
Yeah. Is your QBO working?
At least at the moment.
So I started saying we're going to take credit for this, but I'm not taking credit for QuickBooks Online being down. Okay, that's not what we're taking credit for. Anyway, I guess it's back up. Okay, yeah. So let's say, for example, I happen to be in the recurring transactions page, and I wanted to have a quick bookmark straight to this page. So I'm going to click right there where it says bookmark this page, and I click on that, and it allows you to create your own custom label. And then we click on save, and there it is. It's going to be right there under the bookmark section. And let's say, for example, I want to go to my bank rules, go to bookmark this page, click on save, and then I want to go into, let's say, the all sales page, and then click on bookmark this page. So it allows you to pretty much create your priority bookmarks. And we've had this in RightTool for a very long time, but this is really, really interesting. And what's also really cool is that these are all company file specific. Yeah. So with RightTool, they're generic bookmarks across all your company files, where these are saved in this specific file. Now you can always turn off all the default menus, right? So if I turn off my default menu, so basically it hides everything under that little default menu, and it goes under more, and then you create your own set of custom bookmarks based on how you navigate QBO. So this is where you go. What I have not experimented with, and Mark, I don't know if you have experimented with either, is if you can bookmark specific reports with specific customization. I don't know if you can yet.
I think I've heard mixed things on that. So I think I'd have to test it.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, I happen to be in a particular profit and loss, and I deep dive into a transaction report. This is by definition a custom report. Okay, so if I click on bookmark this page, it gives me a generic label, simple company file start. So let's just say transaction report, and then I click on save. And then through the magic of right clicking, I can click on copy link address, and then I can go up here to the top, paste the link address, and see what address is linked. And the answer to the question has been answered through the example you cannot bookmark specific reports through the left navigation bar. It would just go to the generic reports page. So that I would say that might be the big difference between what we can do now, because with RightTool, we can go into add custom here, click on add custom, and this will save the actual full URL into your custom bookmarks. And we also remove the company name from the URL, so you can actually go into this exact same report through different company files. Just do keep in mind that sometimes when you do a custom report and the custom report goes into a specific customer or into a specific account or into a specific class, these customer names and class numbers and account numbers, they vary company file to company file. So that won't work. But if you do something like a profit and loss report, and then you do the typical things, let's say we do, I don't know, this fiscal year to last month, and then we do by quarter, and then we do non-zero, and then we do cash, we do all sorts of customizations. After you run that, there's a very unique URL that gets created in the top that unfortunately you cannot use the bookmark this page generic system that QBO gives you with the left navigation bar, but you can in fact go into QBO, into RightTool, go to add custom, and you can do P&L this year to last month. Let me spell this correctly. To last.
Being on a webinar
month.
Always makes your spelling just
oh,
like
no,
50%
something
worse.
about live webinars that makes my spelling performance horrible. So cash basis, non-zero or whatever, right? So let's say, for example, that's a report that you always go into all the time with every client. That's a particular shortcut that you can do. So if anybody from Intuit is watching this and you wanted to make the bookmark this page option more useful, literally copy that idea from us, right? Like just complete the tool, okay? That's the one major frustration we always have with our beloved QuickBooks, is that they'll start something, but they never really seem to finish it. They don't go all the way to the end. Like they go to 90%, and the 10% basically allows us to, gives us a market to innovate around that. So that's what's going on with QuickBooks Online, and I guess maybe semi-inspired by RightTool. I'm gonna pass over the baton to Patrick, one of our co-founders, who is now a full-time employee of RightTool. So we're very excited about that. So Patrick, I'm gonna ask you to unmute, and I'm going to give you
I didn't realize I was muted.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you hosting capabilities and go ahead and showcase the new website. So you can share your screen.
I'm going to share my screen real quick. I'll give you guys a sneak peek into what is going to be coming out in probably the next few weeks. Everybody, you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. At first, I wanted to kind of touch on some of the things Hector was saying, along with the YouTube demos. One of the things we have added into the site would be we're going to have a little demo navigation that we can update and change over time. And each of these will launch YouTube videos that you can then click in. We don't really want to play it, but a quick way, as we're releasing stuff, we can update that. You guys can always get to it. It also has the view more demos, which will take you to the RightTool YouTube page. You can check anything out there. Also at the bottom, I do have links for Facebook and YouTube again. Other than that, the two kind of cool major things is, one, we got rid of the stupid account management thing that was in place before. It was a little wonky, it was a little sloppy. So now it's a much more efficient, much more clean. You will be able to cancel, update, change your primary card. That'll actually change which card's paying for your account, delete, add a new payment method, all within without having to jump through any hoops. So small but significant, I think. Also, you can download and view any invoices. I know we've had people in the past looking for invoices, and we've sent them out. Now you'll be able to always come in, log in, and get them anytime you need them. The other kind of cool big thing is we also now, instead of chasing around and figuring out how to submit support requests to us within the Pro system, there's a Get Support button, and you will just be able to provide your email, which if you're logged in will automatically fill in your user account email. But if you need it sent to another email, you can always change this and just let us know what's going on. That'll send that out to Mark, Hector, and I, and we'll be able to get back to you. And yeah, it'll be a lot easier.
Patrick, just a quick idea on the Get Support. Could you add an upload screenshot tool or like just a place where people can upload a screenshot?
Yes.
Or even create a screenshot if it's even, I'm not sure if we can go that route, but because that's a very common thing. People will upload a screenshot. We want to encourage that. And we want to add that this is only relevant to pro users, right? So if you're a free user, you're never going to see this website. But this is a starting point for something major that we're going to start building on our back end, which I'll discuss towards the end of the webinar. But when we start adding new things to the RightTool Pro membership benefits package, which will be a whole bunch of other things that we're going to discuss, that we're going to put them in the website. So you're going to go into this website to access all the things that are sort of given to pro users that's not necessarily front facing on the RightTool extension. Patrick, anything else before we switch it back to Mark now?
Just one more thing with that. The cool part with just going on with the Get Support, we were talking about also, we've built in ways to provide notes on our end and track these issues, and we'll be able to eventually have a better Q&A kind of issue resolution searching page. So I encourage you guys to use that as opposed to just emailing us, because then we'll be able to log that data and compile the biggest common issues and a database of common workarounds with that.
Yeah.
Patrick, there's a piece of feedback here. Could it be possible to create a direct link to that Get Support button from somewhere in the RightTool extension setting, so people don't have to like log into a website? So you still have to log in, but so people don't have to remember to go into the back end and click on Get Support. Could we do a direct link to that so pro users can have access to that?
Yes. And also, we actually have it already built in. This is the main page. I actually added, without even logging in, you can click Get Support and do the same thing.
Yeah,
Obviously, you won't have your email, but it'll just launch the same pop-up type style.
Yeah,
and do the same thing. So yeah, without any problem, we can do that.
Okay, I'm gonna send it over to Mark now. Mark, I'm gonna make you host. And one thing I want to add is, obviously we get a lot of support requests. Every software company gets a lot of support requests. We're building this different place for support, so we can prioritize a pro user support first, and then the free user support second. So that way we can have some sort of logic in terms of how we manage all the priorities. Mark, you have control now. You can share your screen. Let's talk about reviewing help and troubleshooting features.
Yeah, let's get to the right page here. Okay, so
share your screen when you get a chance.
Yeah, sharing screen 3. Then I'm gonna bring that over to here. I'm not even gonna bother putting it in slideshow mode. So yeah, so first thing, we just want to, before we get started, there's some people who are new or haven't seen this before. There's just a few things I want to go over about, help and just generally how you can make your QuickBooks online experience a little bit smoother. So the first thing I'm going to go into here is we're going to click on to the RightTool settings. And then when we are in here, there's a small section at the bottom left here called Help. This actually has a couple of different features in there that could be helpful to you. At the very top, we have what is our current feedback. And let me actually zoom in a little bit on this. We have what is our current feedback form at the top. But what we also have is something that some people ask about, which is, can we export settings or favorites to other people or to other browsers or anything like that? So what we have here is, just to kind of remind you, is a couple of buttons here to export settings. So if you just click this, it'll bring up this big old giant string of text. All you have to do is copy that, and you can either send it to yourself, or you can just go to your other browser and paste into this import. I know it's kind of weird. It's just that this is something that we are doing in the meantime. We are hoping that with the new site, we're going to be able to get that synchronized settings going, so people don't have to do this process to get all their settings synced up. But this is just kind of a way you can do it now that makes it so you can really easily share your favorites and settings. And the same thing works, by the way. It works the same way for all of these. So there's not really any difference between exporting the settings, favorites, or company switch. And once you do that, it'll refresh the page and everything should be good to go. So that is the first thing that I want to put out there. The second thing I'm going to put out is, let's actually go back to this thing. So troubleshooting is a big thing as well. So I'm going to go back into QuickBooks Online. And there's basically three main things to remember if you're ever trying to troubleshoot. And by the way, Jewel, this is not only or that exporting and importing settings is for everybody, not just pro. So the first thing you want to do when you're troubleshooting is, at least in my opinion, you want to click on this little gear icon up top and click the pin. That'll make it so you get that.
It's not a gear icon. It's a puzzle icon.
Puzzle icon. Did I say gear?
Yeah.
Brain. So yeah, this is the place where you want to go, and then you can pin it so that you always have that RightTool icon up top. There's a few things inside of here that are great to use, and the ones I'm going to mention here is reload extension. This is something that if you're ever using QuickBooks Online and something just isn't working, the first thing to try is reloading the extension. I don't know why, but sometimes Google just kind of wants to play a weird game with us and make everything not work exactly how it's supposed to, but it should once you reload. If it's still not working after reload, check the Facebook page, because there's probably somebody who's already experienced the issue and has told us about it. Or if there hasn't been somebody who told us about it, we want you to tell us. And then the next thing is the clear cache button. This is really cool for people who are used to the idea of like, oh, if you have an issue in QuickBooks Online, you have to like clear out your cache and cookies and all that. This button specifically targets only QuickBooks Online, so you don't lose everything in all of your different browser pages, so you don't lose logins and everything. And what's cool about this is the solution to if you've ever had an issue where you go into QuickBooks Online and it gives you that green spinning wheel of death that never goes away. You want to use this clear cache. So just as a FYI, that's something that is available to everybody. And I think that is the main gist of like the things that are important to focus on with troubleshooting. Again, if you ever have an issue getting into QuickBooks Online, this is what you can use. Yeah. So somebody asked, how do you yeah, first of all, this does work on RightTool does work on Brave. That is literally the browser I'm using right now to show this. And then second of all, how do you hide the QuickBooks left side menu? Somebody just asked. Since it's not a super hard thing to do, we have a feature. It's like in the first page of our settings called auto close left nav. It doesn't permanently hide it, but it does make it so that you can, click this or so that it just automatically goes away when you log into a page. One final time, because somebody asked, if you want to copy settings, you go to the RightTool settings, and then you go to this help button at the bottom. So that's where that is included at. And with that, I think that is mostly what you need to know for troubleshooting purposes. Did I miss anything there, Hector, or think we're good to go?
No, you're all set. We can now go into the new features that we've added.
Yeah. Okay. So admittedly, this month has not had tons of like big new features because it's mostly been a fixing month for us. And we've had a couple of conferences between the last webinar and now, but we have a few cool things that we'd like to show. So the first thing is we've added a feature to, let's go to the actual setting here. In QBO User Experience, we have a short-term QBO enhancements feature that it should be automatically turned on for everybody. We've added an element to this that makes it so when you go to an invoice, let's just kind of go to this one right here.
Important to mention that this is the only pro feature that we're gonna be showcasing.
Free feature.
This is free. Sorry,
Yeah.
this is the only free feature we're gonna be showcasing. Everything else will be pro.
Yeah. So once you're inside of here, when you click the more actions button, which by the way, I think RightTool put a big hand in getting that added back into the invoice page. I can't say for sure that that's why, but we'll see. But we added in a button right here to make recurring so that now you don't have to go into the recurring section in order to make the invoice. You can just save the invoice and then you can make it recurring. Click on that. And the cool thing that's weird about this one is it actually opens up inside of like the old invoicing format, which is very interesting to say the least. For whatever reason, it wanted to take its time. But yeah, so just like it's a very small thing, but it's something people have asked for. So we were like, let's see if we can figure out a way to put that in for you. So that is what we got going for the free users. The next thing, and then the rest of this is pro. So I apologize in advance to everybody who's here from the free version. But trust me, I think we have a good amount of free stuff in here to make it worth your while.
We do. Let's actually, I'm gonna run a quick poll. Or actually, since you have control, Mark, just run the quick poll really quick. Just we can have that kind of poll in the background. I think it's called RightTool users. It asks.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
There you go. So we can run a quick poll just really quick, and then let's answer some of the questions that are here in the chat that were here live. So how do you get to the RightTool Pro new website that that Patrick is showcasing? That's he's just showing you what we're building in terms of redesign. If you go to righttoolpro.com, it'll still go to the old website. So just keep that in mind. It has the same functionality with the exception of the improved invoicing history. That would be like the major change, and that's because we've had a lot of people that literally email us asking for invoices, and we're like, okay, there has to be a more efficient way. So you just go to https://righttoolpro.com, and again, if you're a pro user, that's relevant to you. Only free users don't really need to worry about that stuff. Anyway, I think we can end the poll, Mark. It gives us a little bit of a. And then somebody's asking, how do I subscribe to RightTool Pro? Well, you go into the righttoolpro.com and you create an account and you pay the $50 a month, and then you're good to go. And then it's $50 a month for the first user, and then 15 for every additional user if you're a firm with multiple users. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, and it looks like we have a pretty good mixture. It's about 50-50 on the free versus pro people here today. So that's kind of an interesting, it's interesting to me at least. So let me close that. The next thing I want to show is the new stuff in the pro version. One of the things that I'm actually kind of excited for personally, and this is kind of a nerdy thing, is the quick create sub accounts inside of the chart of accounts. So what this will do is if I go inside of the chart of accounts, when I'm inside of here, something that I would oftentimes do is I would be inside of here and I'd be like, oh, I want to put a, I don't know, sub account for deferred revenue for some reason. Let me actually make sure I have this feature turned on in Experiments Pro. Actually, is this an Experiments Pro, or is this this is the problem with having that there? This is an accountant
Pro, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, quick create sub accounts for the chart of accounts. Let's refresh this page and see if that helps.
And you know what's worth mentioning too, Mark? You go back into the settings one more time because you did it kind of quickly.
Oh yeah.
There's a new icon next to it, and I think you expire those every 30 days. Is it, or is it every 60 days?
It kind of just depends on when we create new features, more or less, and if it feels like, if it's something where it's a feature that's a small feature, but we created it like 30 days ago, we'll probably can't roll it out. But if it's like a big feature that we think people would want to see, I usually let it stay in there just a little bit longer.
Okay, all right. So there's not a specific rule, but just if the feature has been added in the last in the last 60 days or so, it would have that little new icon, and it doesn't get turned on automatically. So that's a good question, Elaine. We
Well,
actually
this feature
decide,
does get turned on automatically.
okay. So we decide on the back end what gets turned on automatically, but you kind of every once in a while you have to go check in, because there's some things that are brand new that we don't decide to turn on automatically. So we're making that decision us internally in terms of what should be automatically turned on and what shouldn't.
Yeah. Now let's see if it's going to actually do what I want it to do. I get it. QuickBooks. I mess with you too much. Anyways. So what you'll see here is it should pop up when you click on this down arrow with a button that says create sub account. And it's a very small thing, but you click on it, and what it will do is it will actually fill in all the information for you required to make this a sub account. So it changes the account type to the correct thing. It changes the detail type, I believe, and then it has the parent account there. And then all you have to do is type in an account name and whatever else you want to put in, like if you want the account number or anything like that. So just like it's a small thing, but it's one of those things that when I was doing bookkeeping, I would have appreciated greatly. So it makes me excited as a big old nerd. So just something fun with that one. The next one that I want to talk about is the Batch Pro. We've already had reallocate an expense page as a feature in the last webinar, but when we did that, we didn't make it so you could reallocate by customer. We made it so you could only reallocate by class. So we decided to expand on this one a little bit, and now it's a little bit more comprehensive. Let's see here. It might not work inside of this version, or maybe I just have to turn it on. Let's make sure. Reallocate inside of expenses page. Oh, it's because it's not an existing expense. Sorry, let me go to one that actually exists. Or it's because of the fact that this file doesn't have classes. Let me go to Hector Garcia Corporation. Sorry, it's one of those things where we don't have the new invoice feature inside of the Hector Garcia Corporation. So to show that one off, we have to go into our sample company. So I'm just going to come into here and go to expense.
So real quick, because you did a lot of movement there. So the feature that Mark's about to showcase is called Reallocate inside of an expense page, and it was inspired by Reallocate on a P&L, which we showcased maybe the last 2 months or maybe 4 months ago, which allows you to automatically create a journal entry that would shift or allocate expenses from one class or unnamed class across multiple classes. But some of the feedback that we've gotten is, hey, what if I have an existing expense where I have a transaction that needs to go across 3 or 4 classes? Could you help us do this fairly quick? So go ahead.
Yeah. So what I can do is I can come over here and I can reallocate. And at the bottom here, it says reallocate by class. I'm going to reallocate by customer. And then inside of here, there's a whole bunch of customers. So I'm just going to choose like the top 3 or something like that. So I'm just going to say 30, 40. Let's do 10 and then 20.
And before you go on, Mark, one thing that's really important that we built into this is that, for example, if you have a whole bunch of customers, like a huge customer list, it's going to take you forever to scroll up and down, up and down. And let's say, for example, you're going through and you are reallocating 6 or 7 expenses to the same 4 or 5 customers. You can actually export like a worksheet, which is the allocation worksheet, which was basically just a CSV file that Mark's going to pull up on the screen that shows the percentage and the customer next to it. So if you already have this allocation built into like a little spreadsheet, or you do it once in RightTool and export it as a template. Next time you reallocate, you can just plug that in, and then you don't have to go scroll up and down and put the numbers.
Yeah, like I can just come in here, choose file, reallocation data, and it'll just put it into this, just like this. And by the way, this is a pro feature, just to make that aware. So now I can do this and I can press reallocate, and it should, assuming that everything wants to work correctly and not be dumb on me. Okay, I'll look into that. There's always something that goes wrong when you do one of these.
Yeah. So you just you went
see
to
it.
try to reallocate from an import and it errored
That
out.
button is being a pain in the butt. Okay, well, fair enough. It'll be fixed in the next update then.
Just before we jump to the next one, Mark, go ahead, close that, create a brand new expense from scratch.
Okay.
Just to make sure the information that's in item details is not messing with
It could be that that's what's happening.
it somehow. Just so we can get just kind of a fresh workflow in there.
And while I'm putting that up, Ray is asking if RightTool works in Ledger. Yeah, anything that if there's a page that exists in Ledger, then we should have the ability to use it in Ledger.
Okay, so we're going through the reallocate process again. We're trying to see if it works this time. So you selected one expense account, and then
Yeah.
you selected customer project. Then you went next. Then you allocated this through a couple of
Oh, did I?
yeah. So we're gonna
Let's see here.
reallocate this.
It might be that was what it was. Maybe it was the fact that I just had the wrong percentages, which would be kind of funny if that was the case. Okay, that time it worked. Maybe it was the yeah, maybe it was the item details, or maybe it was the percentages being wrong. But you can see here that like I have the customer now coming in with it split it out that way for this expense.
Okay, let's do that again, just because we went through a lot of motions.
Fair
So
enough.
let's just do a class allocation. So let's pick whatever, pick rent or something like that. Just pick a something that somebody will be familiar with. Just do rent expense, and then just put $1,000, and then do we reallocate across multiple classes?
Yeah. And if there's any issues with this, feel free to let me know, or like put on the Facebook group, because I need you guys to test some of this stuff, just because I don't know what every single situation you guys are going to put this through is going to be. So I do appreciate it if you guys have any feedback about something not working. So actually, I'll go back real quick.
Somebody is asking, does it work to reallocate across multiple accounts? And the answer is no. It's going to be same account across multiple classes, same account across multiple customer jobs. We haven't reverse engineered this into multiple accounts because
well, and the reason we haven't done that for multiple accounts as well is because of the fact that for that, you're probably going to be better off just using paste from Excel anyways, for that particular one, which is a little bit, it's a little bit more involved for that one. Whereas this one is, you can do it relatively quick if you have everything you need, which is why we made this feature. So we're going to just reallocate by class. And then we're just going to put this as 20% for these top things in this class, just to make it easy for us.
Right. And again, this only works in the expense transaction page for the time being.
Yeah.
It's going to be, once we're working through the kinks. If once we work through all the little kinks of it, because it is an experimental feature, we will add this into bills and checks, which are the two pieces of feedback that we've gotten. So we just put it in the expenses for now, and it should be relatively easy to put them across those two if the screens look the same. The problem is, like, it turns out that QuickBooks creates a separate code base for every single screen. Sometimes they're similar, sometimes they're not. So that's why it takes us a little bit of time. And and somebody says, can you allocate by dollar amount rather than percentage? Well, no, but if you were doing dollar amounts, you would just do it manually anyway. I'm not sure, so yeah, it's just percentage for the time being.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying about that. But yeah, just a little update on that. Now we're going to talk.
Actually, let's go back for a second. Hold on. So somebody's asking to reallocate by dollar amounts, which means you have to manually enter the different dollar amounts, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to see what would be the change in workflow. Eventually, in the reallocate page, you would have to maybe toggle between percentage and dollar amounts.
Yeah, maybe there'd be a talk. Honestly, again, this might be a situation where paste from Excel would also be good for that too.
Yeah,
anyways,
right. Working on Excel prior. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that could possibly be a thing. YAML, you mentioned that because the customer list is so long, it keeps going down for a long time. I do apologize for that. We do hope to have a fix for that in the future, but that's kind of a separate entire thing we have to work on.
Right.
But we are going to try and work on that, but unfortunately it's going to take some time for the time being. But yeah. So those things that we put on, those are, I believe, turned on by default. Anything that's in Experimental Pro is going to be turned off by default because we don't want to necessarily, either one, we think it might be weird and broken in some way, or two, we don't want to take up a thing with the screen and make it, too busy on the screen unless you really want the feature. So that's what kind of Experimental Pro means, by the way. For this one, this actually would be a good one for you to show because this is Hector's baby on this particular one.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, you want to? You want me to share it, give you the screen back?
Yeah. Make me
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, you took it back. That's good.
Just admitted that you want to break.
Oh yeah, that's what it is for sure. I'm over here like, oh my God, my voice is dying.
Okay. All right. So we got copy bill numbers to Memo. Okay. So we have there are two features that have very similar names, and I want to make sure that we can explain what the two features are. So if I put bill number up here, or let me just type here Memo. Okay. We have one called copy bill memo to bill payments under the free error prevention. I'm going to turn that one on. And then actually, I'm going to go into help and I'm going to turn everything off. Okay. I'm a big fan of just turning on the things that we're going to demo. So we're going to turn on copy bill memo to bill payments, which is a free feature and it has a different workflow. But I think it's really important to kind of see the two separate, because they solve for different issues. Okay. So we have one called copy bill memo to bill payments, and the other one is called copy bill number to memo. And if we were to add more words, in the bill payment screen. So they seem very similar, and they're actually very similar features. Just one is for proactive bill payment and the other one is for reactive bill payment numbering. Okay. So let's go into QuickBooks and let's go into a bill. Okay. And well, I'm going to pick up a bill here and hopefully this bill is open. Okay. Okay. This bill is paid, but I'm going to go ahead and delete this payment so I can go through the process of doing this. Okay. So I'm in a bill payment screen. So I'm going to go to pay bills, and actually, I'm going to go into the bill itself. I apologize. That was my mistake. So let's go into the bill itself. I'm going to go into the bill itself, and then I'm going to mark the bill paid, or I'm going to go through the bill payment sequence. This bill will have a number, okay, a number associated with it, which I have to save first. So we have to save it into the bill, and there needs to be a bill number saved, which is this number that's here. And then when I click on mark as paid, it will flow through the bill payment screen, which it should do that. And then down here in the bottom, which for some strange reason is not flowing through the memo. So something we may have to look into.
Well, you have to click the button to copy bill numbers to memo. Oh, are you talking about a different thing? Never mind. You're talking about a different one.
I'm talking about the free feature. Okay.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, it's not doing it, but something we have to look into, right? Because it's the free features we haven't looked at all the changes. But the concept here is that this bill number will be copied here to the memo. This is the way it's supposed to work with that free feature, which is going back to this, is called copy bill memo to bill payments. Okay, we'll just have to take a look at why my screen is not working. Maybe on different versions it's working. Mark will work on that immediately. Okay, so that's when you start from the bill and go through the bill payment. Okay, it should work the same way if we go into pay bills, and then we go pick a bill here, and the bill, let's pick a bill that has a bill number, which is this U6664. And then we go to schedule payment. And what we're supposed to do, again, with the free feature, is to, of course, let's do, how do we do the not scheduled payment? Let's do here. Okay, so now you get tricked into this whole thing. So so QuickBooks is changing the workflow here. So it goes into the schedule payment feature. So I guess I got to figure out, does it even give me an option to just go to the bill payment screen from here? I think they changed that.
It might be
Save and-
that literally the moment we put this feature in, they also changed the.
Yeah, right. So if I go to save and print, it should at least take me to the print screen. Okay.
They
So
wanted to wait for us.
So the concept behind this is that the bill payment itself should flow through that memo number in there. Okay. Now, whether we can get that feature to work again or not, because I don't know what's going on, and then the way QuickBooks interjects the whole process of the new QB payment bills. So I'm not sure if we're gonna literally be able to do that. We've had the other feature, which is called copy bill number to memo, which is there to sort of remedy the fact that the bill number is missing from the memo when we pay the bills. Okay, so let's just explain that for a second. So let's say I go to pay bills and I'm going to grab a whole bunch of bills from the same vendor. So let's just grab here like AT&T or something like that. Let's grab AT&T, and then there's a whole bunch of bills from from the same vendor. This is not a good example because they don't have bill numbers. So let me grab maybe another one here. Let me see what other, okay, this one here, B balance serve. Okay. So we'll grab all of these from B balance serve that contain multiple bill numbers, okay, different bill numbers in there. And I go to save and print, or to do pay bills. And then let's say I print the check or whatever it is. It doesn't matter whether you print the check or do anything else. But then when we go look at the bill payment, okay, which is going to be here somewhere. Let's open up our bill payment. Okay, let's just do this again. Pay bills. Okay. Okay, wait, where's my bill payment?
It just wants to
Okay.
fight you with the differences between the pages today.
Yeah, here it is. Okay, here's the bill payment. So what happens is my memo doesn't contain the bill numbers, which is part of the challenge. Okay, so what we've done is we added this button here called Copy Bill Numbers to Memo. Again, this is under Experimental Pro right now. And then when we click on Copy Bills Numbers to Memo, what we're doing is we're grabbing each of the bill numbers, each of the bill IDs, and we're copying them down here to the memo. And the purpose of that is so when we actually save the bill payment and we're looking at maybe a list of bill payments on a report, or we're looking at the transaction itself, or we're looking into, for example, let's say we're going into the vendor screen and we go into this B balance or whatever it's called, this vendor here, and then we're looking at a transaction list and we see the bill payments. If we were to enable, and I'm going to collapse the navigation bars here, if we were to enable memo, the idea is that we actually get that information showing up on this screen. So we got the information showing up on the screen wherever there's a memo, or anytime there is a report that contains that. So we have a report here. I think it's called payment list or something like that, bill payment list. There we go. So in the bill payment list report, if I were to enable memo, and again, we're thinking through all these circumstances in which the information is sitting right there. So of course, you're going to have to, play with these and expand the columns to be able to see more information. But that's actually what the point is. And also, if you go into the bank register, so this is under the cash bank register. So let's go into our bank register and we go into cash, and we should see in theory the memo. Yeah, it's in here. So we'll expand this and the memo is in here. So that's what we're doing. We're automating that process of copying all the memo IDs into the bill payment. Now, desirably, what we want is when you actually click on Mark Paid, that this information copies over. Unfortunately, it's not as straightforward the way QuickBooks is changing the workflows to go from bill to pay bill, and trying to force people into the QuickBooks payments is making it a little bit harder. So we created this tool so you can, in the back end, after the bill payment is created, you can add that to the memo. So sorry for the long explanation to try to get there. And Mark, again, add to your notes to figure out why is the free feature not working. And if we can't get it working, we'll just eliminate that altogether.
Yeah.
Auto open bank feeds when switching file. Okay, so in Experiments Pro, we added this one called auto open bank feeds when switching files. And eventually what we've done is, and I won't demo it here, but basically what happens is if you turn this on, every time you go from client A to client B, essentially it will jump straight into bank feeds. Okay, that's essentially what we're trying to do. So if you notice that I switched clients, and it went straight into bank feeds, regardless of where you are. So if I happen to be, let's say I happen to be in the overview page and I switch over to another client, it's just building that in because the feedback that was given to us is, I always go into bank feeds. That's everything that I do. It should be there. So as long as you are on version 24.1, and if you haven't updated, make sure you update to version 24.1. You should see it under Experiments Pro. It's called auto open bank feed when switching files. So you can do a force update by going into the three little buttons on the top right, and then go into extensions. Okay, you go to manage extensions, and then in here there's a button that says update. If the button doesn't show up, you might have to click on the developer mode on the top right, click on developer and click on update, and it forces and updates all your Chrome extensions. Of course, RightTool is probably, out of all your extensions, the one that gets most updates per week, just because we are all day long fighting against changes that QuickBooks makes, and we have to kind of like reprogram things.
I'm very excited about this one because it's Kelly Parks has been asking for this for like forever. So I'm happy to put it in there finally for her, since she's been relatively patient with it.
Yes, yeah, thank you, Kelly, for being insistent on that, because I think a lot of people are gonna like that. The next one is bulk edit accounts in the product service page.
It might be good, since we're already low on time, to skip this one for now, only because I think it still needs a little bit of work just to get it going, but we have it out there. We are working on it.
Okay, no problem. Okay,
Yeah.
so all right, so we're gonna go straight into remove. It says hide. Sorry, it says remove, but it really should say hide.
Did I not change that yet?
Yeah, it didn't. It says remove transactions with attachments.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, because we're not deleting them, we're just removing them. So this stems from, okay, I'm gonna set this up. Okay, one of the very common things that bookkeepers do at the end of the month or so is to review every transaction that doesn't have an attachment, right? So the attachment is implied that it's been reviewed, okay? That a receipt has been looked at, that the underlying bill has been looked at. It's basically, it's the action of attaching an attachment to a transaction, especially to an expense transaction, implies that it's already been looked at. So sometimes we want to, in this view, because it's not available under filters, and by the way, QuickBooks could fix this overnight by adding a little filter here that says, with attachments or without attachments, and that would just be sort of the easiest and simplest way to fix this, but it's just not there. So sometimes what we want to do is we want to hide all the transactions that have attachments. So for example, if I'm looking at a bunch of transactions here, and this one that has an attachment assigned to it, let's say I don't want to see that, right? Because I want to start filtering them out. Basically, filtering them out is probably the best term to use. So I'm going to type the word remove on the settings, okay? But it should actually say hide. So remove transactions with attachments, as in Experiments Pro. We'll save that. And then there's a little button here that says show transactions without attachments eventually. So once we click on that, it'll go in there, it'll enable the attachments button for you, and it'll remove it from your visual. So if you go into this transaction here, AAA vendors, and you add an attachment to this, so we'll add a random attachment to this. And then we click save and close. Okay, and then you're going through the file and reviewing all the transactions, and this transaction shows these two showing with an attachment. You click on show transactions with that attachment again, it'll hide them. So it's really mostly useful for you to only visually see the ones that are there. The one thing that we have not been able to, let's call it fix, is when you do click on print, they're all going to show because this is coming from the server side. And then when you click on anything that's an export button, again, those are going to show because that's coming from the server side. So we would have to then build an export feature from this screen so we can export the table as a CSV file. That would be sort of part 2 to try to complete
Fair enough.
that. Yeah. So Mark,
Oh,
you just
that
gotta
button. I gotta fix that.
yeah.
Oh no, what happened there?
Okay. All right. We do have 5 minutes, so we can showcase what we have on this bulk edit. And again, if it doesn't work, sorry. Like he said, maybe it's not working correctly. Well, it's an under experiment. So, so this one's called bulk edit accounts in product and service page. So I'm gonna click save and refresh. And this is a big one that people have been asking for. It's one of those seldom used tools, but in some cases it could be really powerful for a few people to use. So essentially what we're doing is we're selecting multiple items, and then we're editing one of them. So we're going into edit for one of them. And then here in the bottom somewhere, did I turn that on? Let me just make sure that's on.
I have to refresh the page.
Yeah, let me refresh the page. And again, maybe you were right. Maybe not working. Maybe
it wouldn't
depends.
Surprise me.
Yeah, maybe because
Oh wait, change. You have to change something first. So
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So again, I'm choosing one. Again, I'm choosing 1, 2, and 3. So 3 items that I'm choosing. I'm going to edit, and I'm going to change the income account to, let's say, equipment, and then the purchase account to whatever it is, right? So something else. Okay.
Oh, and then click also update this for historical Yeah, there you go.
Okay, and then click also update for historical transactions. When that checkbox gets turned in, there's a red batch save button that actually notice that you had multiple items checked. You made a change in one item, and then when you click on batch save, it's going to go through, let's call it the macro of going in and changing one by one. That didn't work, by the way, Mark. I know you're crossing your fingers, but
the button itself didn't. Jeez, Louise.
Okay.
This feature is going to murder me.
But that's the underlying idea. Is that we are going to watch you do one change, and then go in there and manually go in there and do each of the changes. Now there's tons of variables here, so we actually, again, it's an under experiment, so we might not make it. So where it's kind of challenging with this is depending on your QuickBooks file, when you click on also update historical transactions, it could take a long time for that to like sort of process. So that could be a challenge. And the other thing is, Mark, can we make this work if you don't click on also update?
That's an interesting question. I mean, yeah, we could. I mean, assuming we get it to work in the first place, let's be clear. But I mean, we could add that as an additional thing. Be like, hey, we will also make it not update historical transactions. Yeah, I could see it.
Right. So that's the idea. So like maybe in the next couple of weeks or so, we'll post in the Facebook group once the feature is fully tested across all versions of QuickBooks Online. The challenge that we have is, again, the products and services page. There's 3 or 4 different versions. This is probably the one that has the most variations, because if you convert it from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online and you had sub items, the screen looks different because it doesn't have categories. And then there's the new version of the products and services page that has a whole bunch of new things like product variants and a whole bunch of additional like cycle counts. So like this screen, there's like 4 different versions of this screen. So we're gonna have to go through all versions and go through that. Okay. But that's an experimental feature. I'm gonna separate this, and I'm gonna put here aspiring new feature.
Yeah, that's a good name for it.
Yeah. So we'll have it here under aspiring new feature, because obviously that didn't work during the demo. Okay. So we're done with all the new feature updates. For the people that want to stick a little bit longer in the webinar, let's call it the super fans. We're going to talk about some of the plans that we have for the future. Okay. And then these are literally just plans, but this is, we want you in on understanding on where we want to take RightTool moving forward, where we want to take this company, where we want to take this community. So we want to let you in on this. And obviously you can email us if you have any personal notes on any of this. Okay. So let's get ready for that.
Yeah. And
Number
to be
one,
clear, all of this
yeah.
is in flux as we kind of debate and decide what's going to happen with it.
Right.
These are mostly goal posts that we want to try and hit,
Correct.
to be clear.
So let's see where we are now. So it's October 14th. We have a free edition with 50 plus new features, and it's ad supported. So essentially the advertisers that have the little ad on the top right support the free users. The Pro edition adds an additional 64 features, okay? There's a little bit of a disconnection between, you know, 0 free and $50 a month for Pro in terms of the value that we're creating. And we even had some users tell us literally, hey, the free feature is way too powerful, okay? And those users are the type of users that are sort of supporting the economics of RightTool, like, because we do need to make sure that we have, you know, paid users to make this work, because we haven't really been very aggressive at selling advertising on the free edition. The pro users kind of subsidize the free users at this point, okay? Now, this is where we are today. Number one, we are a 100% self-funded company. We don't have any venture capitalists or anything like that. It's owned and operated by myself, Mark, and Patrick, which you saw earlier do the demo on the website. We are all at this point full-time working on RightTool. And we do have an additional programmer. So we have 3 programmers plus Hector, which doesn't do any programming, although I play one on ChatGPT, but we don't have that. We do have 20,000 active Chrome users. So the way Chrome users work is if you install the extension and you use it at least once per week, it counts as an active download per se. So we basically have 20,000 Chrome user profiles with the app actively installed. Okay, that's a combination of free and pro users. Now we have over 3,000 pro users. These are the people that pay for the $50 a month for RightTool Pro, and those are in 1,300 firms. So we have 1,300 credit cards that we charge basically. So we're calling that firms. So we have an average of 2.3 users per pro account. So this is a high value to anyone that has more than one user, right? Especially because the additional users on pro accounts is $15 a month, 1.5, in addition to the $50 a month. So this is where we are now. So to give you a general idea where we are as a company. Okay, we don't need venture capitalists. We're fully operational. We pay our salaries. We, like, the company, it's in the black, very, very much in the black, and we continue to put tons of effort on making RightTool plus everything that's coming in the future even stronger. We have a couple of goals for 2024. The first goal that we have is to reduce the number of free edition features, maybe down to 20 or 30. So we want to make the free edition a little bit more basic. And essentially where this is gonna, just to give you a preview, where you're gonna see this is everything under classic reports, except for one. We're gonna look at the feature that's used the most, and we're gonna keep that one under free. And then everything under bank and rules, except for one, again, same philosophy, the one that's used the most, we'll keep it for free. And then we'll move both of those categories to pro. Okay, so basically we're gonna be down to the first 4 tabs worth of features that will be under free, and then we're moving reports and bank rules to pro. Most likely under classic reports, we're gonna keep auto switch to classic view, and most likely under bank rules, we're gonna keep Google Memo link in bank feed. So the 2 that seem to be the most popular, the most used. Most likely we'll keep those 2 under free, and then everything else will go under pro. So that's gonna happen by the end of the year, probably closer to the 4th quarter. So we have a lot of stuff going on. We have conferences that we're going to. So we're going to do this post-October. So we have some time to kind of think through, communicate this. So it will most likely be something we announce in October or in December. So that's a major big thing. Next big thing is we're looking to build a middle SKU, something somewhere between free and pro, right? Because the general feedback is for some people, somehow $50 a month is too expensive for them, you know, for a tool that works across all your clients. We're not here to pass opinion on that, but you know, it is it is pretty much the feedback that people have given us. And so we're trying to figure out, is there something in between free and pro that we can develop somewhere between maybe $25 and $45 a month with a subset of pro features. We're calling this Pro Lite. Okay. We might keep the pro name just because the word pro means more than free features. So it'll be Pro Lite or Pro One. So we're thinking about maybe choosing a subset of features, or maybe giving you the ability to use any feature, but only one at a time or something like that. We're working through the ideation of how we can make this work, and we can economically create a middle SKU for the folks that, the $50 a month and probably going up next year price, so they can find something sort of in between. Okay. So the next thing is we're building a more powerful backend of firm admin tools. So you saw the website that we're working on, and some of the things we want to do is firm-wide feature deployment. So for example, if you have 7 users and you want all 7 users to use the exact same RightTool features, to not confuse them and not having them go to one place or the other or whatever, we want to build something where the backend, we can save the sort of a firm-wide subset of tools, and then you can deploy them across all the users. Something else we want to build is a client feature deployment. So when you get clients in the free edition, could you somehow be able to manage what users they have on or off in their free edition? So we're working through what that will work, how that will work, because we're going to have to then start requiring clients to register and create accounts, free accounts, and RightTool. So we're thinking through what that would look like. We're also working on usage tracking, since RightTool is open every time you have QuickBooks open. Technically, we can build logs of who's using what feature in RightTool. We can who is in which client in RightTool, so we can replace timesheet tracking, so to speak, when people are working in
and to be clear, this
RightTool.
is something you would have to actively turn on. It would not be something that we just passively do.
Correct. Right. We don't want to track you if you don't know where we track you. So we want to make this something that firms can choose to track all the RightTool users under the firm, so they can see who's working on essentially log in, log out, things that you can get in the audit log, right? Because we can do that. We could essentially do that. We haven't built that yet, but that's what we're thinking through as we make a more powerful pro edition. We're also trying to build a subset of pro member benefits. So in-person meetups, every time Mark and I travel, we're going to want to meet RightTool pro users across the United States. So like dinners or hangouts or whatever, we want to do more of that as much as possible. We want to start building private webinars only for pro users that go maybe more in depth in QBO plus RightTool type content. That's something we want to build by the end of the year. Maybe a more open Q&A, that sort of thing. Build an online feedback platform where people can give feedback and upvote. It'll take a couple of months, but we do want to build that, so we can crowdsource priority around what features we should be building. And then one of the things that we're going to do, it just has to happen, is part of the economics of this whole thing, is we're going to increase the price of RightTool to $75 a month. It's going to happen towards the end of the year.
But we'll see.
We have
There's still contention there, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we have a push and pull situation here, but because we do want to reward our faithful pro users that have been with us from the very beginning and proactively going hard at promoting RightTool, we are probably going to build a grandfathering tool, so we can, at least for the next 3 years, lock in the price to current users. So what we're thinking about doing is, if we do increase the price to 75, is to allow people to just fix the fee for at least 3 years. So at least mitigate a little bit of the cost for the next 3 years. Not sure if free forever is going to work. I've seen many companies, crash and burn on commitments of forever type pricing. So something like that would probably be what we do. And then something else that we're going to do kind of interesting around that, if the other plans come along, that sort of thing. And then we want to develop a QBO-centric app partnership program, which we're codenaming the Fort, Friends of RightTool. I literally emailed every single person I have a good relationship with that are third-party apps that I know that are great. Apps like Keeper and apps like LiveFlow, apps that like I would strongly recommend to anyone. TaxDome, and I know Mark also has his relationships too, that we both think the app is strong and the people that run it are strong. And we want to build a partnership program where maybe we have mutual discounts. So their customers get a RightTool discount and RightTool customers get a discount with their app. So we're trying to build something like that. So that's something we're building on proactively. And all the people in the Ford program that said yes to the email, they're super excited. They're trying to follow up. They're like, we want to do this. We want to do this. So that's something that we want to build. And we're probably going to do something like, a particular discount if you're a free user, or maybe a deeper discount if you're a pro user. So that way we can kind of make more sense of the pro users. Now for next year and beyond, we have a couple of interesting things that we're thinking through. So number one, our top priority is to build a partnership with Intuit so we can have more alignment around QBO changes and have a more stable product. Our biggest challenge this year has been, like, we're very good at building new features. Our problem is QuickBooks will change something overnight, and then we have to rebuild the feature again, and then also deploy the update and then wait for the users to have the update. So there's a lot of features sort of break. So that is the most important thing that we're trying to like figure out. Who at Intuit we need to like pull their ear and be like, hey man, you got to be our friend with this, because we're working with each other, right? It's like we see QuickBooks and Intuit as a strong partnership of RightTool. We think that RightTool enhances the QBO experience, and the existence of QBO gives us an app, right? So that's what we're trying to figure out, is like whose ear do we need to pull to do this. In exchange, we want to continue to help Intuit implement our ideas into QBO. Like a lot of people tell us, Hector, you're not worried that Intuit is quote unquote copying your ideas or whatever. And Mark and I both agree. And there's a nice thing about this partnership is that if QBO builds something inspired by RightTool, that's the best complement that we can have. That means that both us and the users, we won, right? We got them to add something into QuickBooks Online that you don't need a third-party app for, okay? So that's really, really important piece of it. Like we're trying to figure out how to like continue to help Intuit build these things into QBO, because our ultimate goal is for RightTool not to exist. It's for everything that we build to be in QBO, right? Unfortunately, this is just not logistically possible. Intuit takes 6 months to develop something we develop in a weekend. But that's going to be the relationship that we have, that we can iterate really quick. Our users give us a lot of feedback, so we can leave the breeding ground for QBO innovation. Like we want to be the app that mostly influences QBO to get better over time. Some of our goals that we want to get to 10,000 pro users. So we're going to start actually investing in advertising. We're going to be in conferences. We're going to be spreading the word out there. We are going to get to 100,000 users across the board next year. The trajectory that we're going to, and that's an important step into maybe in the future to get funding and just build a whole another thing. Okay, we want to probably move this bi-monthly webinars to quarterly, so we can focus more on app stability and not so much new features. We started with monthly because we could build a lot of features really quick. And now we're bi-monthly because we're building a lot less new features and more just focusing on stability. So we want to get to the point where we're just doing stable work, and then maybe once a quarter adding new features. We also, this is probably the biggest thing that we want to build, is we want to build the next thing. Okay, so keep RightTool working, keep RightTool functional. We want to build an API-based tool that's a whole different thing that focuses on the stuff that we cannot do with RightTool because it requires an API. So something like backing up your data, or exporting your data, or building maybe more custom reports, or batch editing fields across the board. These are the things that a lot of our users are asking from us. So we'll probably be thinking about building that. And then the last kind of fun thing that we want to do is we want to have actually a users conference. We're probably going to go small. We're going to be focusing on pro users only, and we're probably going to pick or send the invitations only to those pro users that paid maybe the 3 years in advance with a locked-in price. That way we have sort of a smaller group base to market to, and have a conference of sorts, 30 to 50 people in a camp retreat style area. We're probably going to pick Western North Carolina because one of my Blue Ridge Mountains is one of my favorite things in the world. Both Patrick and Mark live in North Carolina, so it logistically might be easy, and we want to have a place where we literally spend 3 days and just talk about like how to build the dream tool, like how to get RightTool 2.0 to be like the craziest, most amazing thing in the world, and what would the next tool be, and then like just kind of brainstorm through that. Maybe invite the other app partners from the fort and say, hey, could you guys want to be part of this? You guys want to in on this innovation-thon that we can have 3 days just having fun. So that's kind of what we're thinking through for the next 6 months, next 4 or 5 months, and the next year. And we wanted to give you guys a preview of where we're going. Our users, our pro users are, like RightTool wouldn't exist without our pro users. So we believe that letting you know what we're trying to do, number one, holds us accountable to kind of fulfill those goals and work towards those goals, and also get live feedback from you. You guys know how to email us, go in the Facebook group and let us know what your thoughts are for all this. So that's it. Mark, you want to add anything else?
No, not really, except for the fact that, just it's exciting times. We're gonna definitely be looking into what all we can do and what's the best option for everything. So I'm excited.
So yeah, us too, man. I'm excited about everything, about the big back end, a physical meetup, about going to Intuit Connect in Las Vegas and meeting users there, my Reframe conference in October in Fort Lauderdale, hanging out with people there. What makes me most excited is to see people's faces when they talk about how much they like RightTool. Like, hey, RightTool did this for my practice. It changed my workflow. It helped me with X, Y, Z. It makes this a lot better. So that's one of the really important pieces of that. So anything that we discussed about, particularly discuss about things going away in free versus pro, or price changes, we're going to give you plenty advance notice. So like it's not going to be surprising, plenty advance notice, but we're telling you from now that if we change the price January 1st, 2025, we will give you the ability to lock in the price for a couple of years. So that's something that we want to make sure that we give people access to, because, price increases are annoying for everybody. And, it's sometimes they're part of the course of running a software business. Every software company raises the prices because everything goes up in price, and we have to add more developers and add more support and all that stuff. But we know for a fact that we are going to add more value as we go. Like, we will not do this in the absence of more value. All right, perfect. Yeah. Okay, we'll end the webinar here. Thank you very much for staying the overtime. Thank you very much for being a RightTool user. Go into the Facebook group, continue the conversation there. We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, nice seeing you, Hector.
Bye-bye.